Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. It means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Jacob Beck and Jordan Kitchens back there on the ones and twos. Fired up. You're hanging out with us. Hope the work week is in the rearview mirror for you. If not, we'll get you to the finish line here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Preston Guy, 15 minutes from right now, talking LSU and Florida. SEC picks against the spread coming up in hour number 2. Also got to take it or leave it. Then we got final picks for Saints and Browns as well as LSU and Florida. Generally speaking, when I leave the show and the set, I go up to my office and I delete that show that we've just done, and I set up the next day's show. And I put LSU basketball at the end of hour number 1. I wanted to kind of talk about it. I figured they would probably lose on the road, as I predicted yesterday. Up there in Manhattan, Kansas. So we'll get things started the same way we do every single day, but not the way I thought we would start today.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
LSU goes to Manhattan, Kansas, and put it on Kansas State last night. The final score was 76-65, which doesn't appear like a blowout, but when you consider the fact that the home team, Kansas State, a home team in Kansas State that had been dominant in that building over Jerome Tang's 2 seasons in Manhattan, 33-4 in the Octagon of Doom, and they never threatened to win that game in the second half. That's impressive stuff from this LSU basketball team. The Tigers seized control of the game early on. They went on a 24-3 run over an 8-minute and 24-second stretch of the first half, and they never looked back. You always thought, here comes that run, here comes that run, here comes that run. And it never really came. LSU kept Kansas State at an arm length the entire game. And that's because they dominated on the floor in 2 key aspects that Matt McMahon hoped would be the identity of this team. That is, of course, defense. We've talked about that the entirety of the preseason. They brought in 3 veteran guards, all 3 of whom have really solid defensive credentials, and they hope to be better on the perimeter defensively. And they've got a more athletic front court as opposed to your Will Baker, your Hunter Deans, and they're going to be better around the rim as well. And they defended like crazy last night. Consider this shooting percentage from the homestanding Kansas State Wildcats. They were a paltry, I'm missing my number. It's 3 for, over the course of it was like 9 minutes. They were 3 for 32. There it is. Just over 16% was Kansas State over a stretch of 9.5 minutes of that game. LSU was tenacious on the perimeter. They were rejecting shots at the rim, making things tough on Kansas State to finish. K-State was 11 of 24 on layups. That's shots at the rim, under 50%. LSU was doing a great job at that point of clearing the glass, which was the second aspect of the game that LSU excelled in. LSU won the backboard 43-25 in this game. Kansas State missed 38 shots and only rebounded 8 of them. To me, the telling statistic at just how good LSU's defense was start to finish. Kansas State scored 65 points, and they only turned the ball over 7 times. It wasn't like LSU was getting steals and creating extra possessions. They were just getting down in a stance and guarding Kansas State. Now, we don't know for sure how good Kansas State is. They were in the Elite Eight 2 years ago. They were an NIT team last year, and they've got 11 newcomers on this team. So I'm not here to tell you that LSU just went on the road and beat an Elite Eight team. But Jerome Tang has done a good job there for 2 years. He brought in the number one transfer portal class in the country. He's got Doug McDaniel from Michigan. He got Brandon Housen from Villanova. He got Coleman Hawkins from Illinois. He returned David Gasson, who was a great player for them last year on a good team. C.J. Jones, the transfer guard that came in. Like, they've got guys who have played high-level basketball and been good players. And for LSU to go up there on the road and control the action for the entirety of the 40 minutes was so, so impressive. I thought the play of the game came from a former Kansas State Wildcat in Cam Carter. It was in the middle of the second half, inside 10 minutes to play. Kansas State does go on a 6-0 run to cut the lead to 10 with 9:15 to play. And when you realize at that point, I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm going, okay, LSU has controlled this thing, and they've gotten the lead to 16, and you can kick the door in at 16. If you get it to 16 and you win the next 3 or 4 minutes and all of a sudden it's 18, 21 points with 10 to go, you can pretty much turn out the lights. LSU didn't win the next 4 minutes. Kansas State did go on a 6-0 run. And you felt like, okay, here's the run. LSU's going to have to hold them off. And with 9:15 to play, LSU got into a half-court set, and Jai Bailey drove and kicked it out to Cam Carter, who was open at the top of the key, and he absolutely buried it from three-point range to move the lead back to 13. Kansas State did go get a bucket on the next possession, but still, the fact that it went to 13 right there under 10 minutes was just kind of a back-breaking deal, and Kansas State never got it within 10 again. It was a phenomenal effort from the Tigers, really all across the board. It was so impressive to watch Corey Chest come into the game, a game that I didn't figure he would play at all in. And he comes in because Derek Fountain's unavailable, and he just owned the backboard every minute he was out there. You're talking about a guy that in 21 minutes only scored 5 points, but his impact was incredible. 13 rebounds in 21 minutes. 10 defensive rebounds. 3 on the offensive glass. Had that tip in when Jalen Reed missed on a drive. It was so impressive to watch him play his role. Curtis Givens comes in. He didn't score in his 7 minutes, but he makes a great play late in the shot clock on a little screen and roll, didn't panic, 4 seconds on the shot clock, hits a pocket pass to Damian Collins, who lays it in. So impressive. Victorious Miller had 15 points in the game in 21 minutes of action. Had a huge wide open three from the corner, but late in the game to just erase any chance that Kansas State had of coming back. I was so impressed with LSU's young players. Those are all 3 freshmen. Chess is a redshirt freshman, but Victorious Miller and Curtis Given, true freshmen on the road, playing impact minutes. And then you have your 2 guys in the in the back court that are going to have to make this thing go, and they did. I thought Jordan Sears and Cam Carter were excellent. I would like to tone the turnovers down with Sears. He had 5 of them, but he offset that with 5 assists. He did not miss a free throw. He made 3 of his 7 threes. He scored 15 points, had 2 steals, and pulled down 7 rebounds at 5'11". Cam Carter, going back to Manhattan, didn't force the issue. Made a couple of big early threes, one from the right wing, one from the corner late in the shot clock over an outstretched defender. And then the dagger that I talked about, well, not a dagger, but a huge shot under 10 minutes. He goes for 20 points in this game in 34 minutes of action, 6 of 11 from the floor. Those 2 guys combined for 35 points and 7 assists. I thought they were fantastic. I did miss on Jalen Reed in this game. He has not, to this point, had the impact I kind of thought he would in this season, and it's still young. It's still
the
early.
Last 2 games. The first game he was
great, but they couldn't. They didn't
have a chance.
Anybody tall enough to guard him. So, but the play he made, driving down the right side of the lane to lay it in midway in the first half, when he does that, you go, why doesn't he do that every time? He's so big. He's so athletic. He gets up above the rim. He can finish over just about anybody there. He just hasn't done that as much as I thought he would.
I thought the same thing last year when they beat Kentucky. He was so good in that game, and they didn't have anyone that could guard him. I'm like, man, this guy is really talented, and he could score. But there's just some games where he goes missing.
And then doing some of that stuff that I thought he would do, you have Damian Collins who comes in, 5 of 5 from the floor, had a couple of dunks. He's altering shots at the rim, and he pulls down a few rebounds, and he's a guy that is – you don't expect a McDonald's All-American to take a bench role and excel there. That's generally not the way we think about a lot of these star players. But he has, and he's okay with it. And that's what LSU's going to have. I still don't see an NBA star popping on this team right now. But they do have a lot of guys that understand their role. Jordan Sears has got to run the show and make threes. Jai Bailey's got to defend. He's got to rebound. He's got to hit some assists. And he's got to make layups. Cam Carter's got to be the leading scorer. Jalen Reed, got to score around the bucket, rebound. Curtis Givens, spell Sears off the bench. Collins, dirty work, rebounds, layups, dunks. And same thing with Chest, rebounds, layups, dunks. And you just saw all of that on display last night for LSU. This was my tweet after the game. I said, look, 40 minutes, it does not make 4 months. You got a long way to go. But this was really encouraging for LSU last night to control it the way they did. You could see LSU going up there and winning a game where LSU made 13 or 14 threes. You could see LSU winning a game up there where Kansas State went 2 of 24 from 3. None of that happened. There was nothing fluky about what you saw last night in Manhattan. LSU got down in a stance and defended Kansas State for 40 minutes, never let up, and then everybody did what they had to do. And to do that on the road in a building where nobody really goes and wins was really, really impressive. I think LSU is a middle-of-the-pack SEC team that's going to be on the bubble. That's the way I see it right now. And this win is going to stand up in March, I believe. Even if Kansas State is a 9-9 Big 12 team, that's still going to be a high quad 2 or even a quad 1 win to go on a true road site and get that done. And the other thing that's going to do, it's going to infuse these guys with confidence. We saw last year, LSU just kind of stumble all over itself in November and December. They're going to come home with some time off. They're going to play again on Tuesday. They should win that game. And then you're going to have a tournament where you can show yourself against some more high-level competition. But I think that was a statement win last night for LSU. It doesn't say a lot, I don't think, about the program necessarily. I think a lot of people are trying to draw that out, and that's just hard to do because you don't know who's going to win the team next year. You can't name me one player that's going to be on the team next year. But for this team, this iteration of Matt McMahon's program, they've got a good combination that looks like it works well together. They're playing confidently, and last night was really, really good work. I was super encouraged by the entirety of it.
What was the biggest surprise to you in that game? Because I know what mine was.
Corey Chest. This is one of the things that I said before the season. I said, if you were to tell me that Corey Chest just didn't play for this team, I would believe that.
Yeah.
He came in and redshirted. If you were going to tell me that Corey Chest was going to play 25 minutes a night and grab a bunch of rebounds and block shots, I would believe that too. But I have no idea where it is. And if Derek Fountain is available last night, Chest may not play. But this team's identity is going to be on defense and rebounding, I think. And he does that. And if he's okay playing 15 minutes and giving you that kind of intensity, that's going to matter.
Yeah, I agree. No, mine was definitely – I think mine was Victorious Miller, though. I mean, the guy – played 8 minutes in the Alabama State game, played 13 minutes in the ULM game. No one, how could you have thought, okay, well, he's going to play 21 minutes on the road as a freshman against Kansas State? I just no way he could have saw it coming, and he played so well. He's a great shooter. I think he can help them there.
He's a talent. He's one of
really
the guys
good.
I could look at, and I mean, again, I think he's like the fourth guard on this team.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys I could look at and go, he could make an NBA roster.
He can
one day.
eventually, yeah. I think so.
But I mean, I said this yesterday, hand up. I said, I think this is an upperclassman game. I don't think you're going to see a lot of the freshmen. Well, Miller started. Miller came off the bench, scored 15 points, and was awesome. And then Givens, who was falling all over himself in the second game. He was turning the ball over, the game completely sped up on him. He goes out there in 7 minutes, 3 assists, no turnovers.
Yeah.
He had an ugly 3 that hit the backboard, but he's not a great shooter right now. He made 3 threes in the opener, but he's not a great shooter right now. But none of the freshmen even blinked. And that place it wasn't full, but it was rocking. And that was, I just thought it was impressive. It doesn't mean you're gonna contend for the SEC championship or anything.
Right.
But I figured LSU would go up there and get beat by 12. That's kind of what I thought. And they went up there and completely controlled the action from the start. Very, very good stuff for Matt McMahon and LSU. That's the Genesis of Baton Rouge opening drive. We'll come back with Preston Guy talking some football on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, evolvept.com. We're going to talk about the Florida Gators for a lot of this show, and They could use a lot of Evolve Physical Therapy in sports because there's a lot of injured Gators over there in Gainesville. Robbie Bolton has been at this for 2 decades. Professional athletes have trusted him with their bodies. You can do the exact same thing. If you're an active person, go see Robbie Bolton when the pain comes. Pain sucks. Car accident can happen. Just an accident playing sports can happen. Slept wrong can happen. Knees, hips, back, neck, elbow, shoulder, wherever your pain may be. If it's limiting you, not allowing you to work out or play tennis or get on the pickleball court, play with the grandkids, whatever the case may be, Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports can help you. It's going to be hands-on from start to finish. Go see them. They're on Starring near Highland Road. Or check them out online, evolvept.com. It's Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports, evolvept.com.
The best-kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Join us at Pro Dreams in Mandeville for our special event, A Day of Champions. Meet LSU National Championship winning head coaches Jay Johnson, Skip Bertman, and Paul Maneri. Don't miss your chance to purchase authentic sports memorabilia, autographed by the champions themselves. It's the perfect opportunity to celebrate LSU baseball and take home a piece of history. Visit pro-dreams.com to get your tickets. See you there.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Looking for a late lunch? Government between Foster and Jefferson. CorksFishandShrimp.com is that website. Preston Guy with us every single Friday here on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. He, of course, of TigerBait.com joins us now. Preston, how are we doing?
Fine. I'm doing a bit better than we were Saturday evening. As Jalen Milroe almost ran me over to the locker room. But, yeah, we're doing good.
Well, you could have been the first guy to tackle him all night. You should have taken the opportunity.
Well, obviously, the media and the players aren't trained to do it. Apparently,
Oof, that was not good. How surprising was that?
You know, Hart. Maybe I'm a little dumb for being surprised by it based on the film LSU's given us this year. But I just had faith that Brian Kelly and Blake Baker with 2 weeks to prepare for what the number one threat with this Alabama team is, would be able to find a way to get it done. But apparently they're just not able to do it. Maybe it's something, it doesn't matter. Between coaching and players on the field, they cannot stop an elite running quarterback. So maybe that's on me for being surprised.
I mean, I know you go back and watch this stuff. Do you feel like it's a scheme deal? Do you feel like it's a player's deal? Do you feel like it's just everything?
I think it's a discipline deal. I watched a few little segments, and it's like, how close they are getting Milroe on a couple times, and just one guy goes out of his lane, and he gets a seam, and then all of a sudden he's got a double blocker at a place he wasn't supposed to be at, and that's kind of the deal with Milroe. So you have to play very disciplined football to do it. Maybe a little bit of scheme. Maybe they could have, scooted more guys in the box to support that. But then, you're exposing yourself to the deep ball, and I'm sure they were afraid of what Ryan Williams could do with that. So, I would say the football that they chose to play, you got to play it right and well. And sometimes, a lot of the discipline assignment, it was some of your better players. Like Braden Swinson was a guy who just allowed himself to get caught outside instead of, keeping leverage on one of Milroe's touchdown runs. It's a sad predicament, and it really makes you wonder, like, maybe this football team just will not be equipped, whether it be players or coaches. They're not going to be equipped to stop the running quarterback. That's a tough pill to swallow, but I think it's about time.
Well, let's talk about the opportunity tomorrow then. DJ Lagway is going to play, according to Billy Napier. We've seen him healthy. We don't know how healthy he is tomorrow. What's your read on how they'll use DJ Lagway and what LSU can do to combat it?
Well, the thing is with DJ Lagway is you have to think that they're not going to want to push his hamstring and hurt him long term for, let's face it, a season where Billy Napier is guaranteed to keep his job. This win literally means nothing to Billy Napier at this point because he'll be here and he'll get a clean slate next year, right? So I don't think they're going to push him running the ball. A hamstring is an injury that you're good to play, but it still bothers you. So I would be surprised if, number one, they're running him, but number two, if he's fully 100% able to run.
The thing, and I agree with that on one hand, and then I look at the other side of the situation and I go, if there's a significant risk that he's going to re-injure it and this game means nothing, then why would you even put him out there? That's the part that I'm wrestling with. It feels like there could be an argument to be made that they feel like he's great if he's going to play. If he wasn't, then why even try?
Because I feel like he's probably good enough to go, but they're just going to try to adjust the game plan around him because obviously he's better than the third-string guy, yes, even at 80%. So, they're looking at this as probably here's what you really get out of it. You get reps for a five-star, true, talented quarterback. That's what you get. You get next year when DJ Lagway has to take you to Baton Rouge, right? He's played LSU before, right? You get that experience out of it. And I think they'll adjust their game plan accordingly to kind of, get him less hits. But it's probably one of those situations where look, Hunt, hamstring injuries, I'd just be shocked if that doesn't hurt him through the end of the year.
Well, then let's say, for the sake of that argument, that he has 4 carries in the game. Like, how does LSU's defense now match up with Florida?
Well, I guess that limits him to just 4 touchdowns, so that's the good news.
Good, that's 28 points. Next.
Yeah, right, exactly. So hopefully Nussmeier and the company can air it out. But yeah, okay, 4 carries. Look, if you're limiting him to just 4 carries, realistically, you're probably not giving up a touchdown, maybe a goal line situation. But, he can still throw the ball. He's still a talented passer, so you're going to have to, bring your wherewithal. I would say, based on how this game plan can adjust based on his health, you got to come in and be able to make some coaching adjustments. If he's going back there and they want to throw 40 times this game, cool, great. If they want to, run him like wild 25 times, then okay, you should have that game plan at least prepared. I don't know if it's executed, but at least prepared based off the last 2 weeks of Alabama. So come in with that, but then you also have to understand that they might hand that off a ton. So that's how I would handle this: is be able to be flexible and adapt to what Florida's going to bring, because it's a wild card based on his health.
They're going to hand it off a ton, and that's one thing that I can be very confident in saying. So we'll see how LSU stands up to that. Speaking of quarterbacks, LSU's quarterback's in a slump. What do you make of it, and how likely is it that he comes out of it?
Well, I'll tell you what. You've got 3 really big games that you've played in this year in the SEC. Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Alabama. You're 1-2 in those games. The one you needed a miracle for, and by God, you got that miracle with some low percentage throws on the way. But the good news is he's thrown for about 1,000 yards. The bad news is he's completed about 50% of his balls with 6 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in those games. So you best believe the NFL scouts, when they're plugging in film, look, Nickel State and all that, they're not even taking a look at it. They're looking at these games, and it's not great for him. I guess the good news is there certainly are some big throws that he's made along the way, but, man, the turnovers are just so costly. I mean, it is so painful the way he's had a few of these turnovers. Think about the Alabama one where you're driving to make it a 1-score game right after halftime, and you take it to the 4-yard line, and you don't put enough air on it to a tight end who had a chance to go to the back of the end zone and get it, but instead it goes right in the linebacker's hands, and he's returning it on you. Nussmeier, I think these are coachable mistakes, and the good news is this coaching staff does have a proven track record of improving quarterback play. I mean, Jaden Daniels threw for 80 yards against Auburn in 2022. And there were times where people really wanted Jaden Daniels to open it up. There were people who thought Jaden Daniels was holding the team back, and Nussmeier needed to be the guy. So that's the good news is the staff does have a tendency to improve their quarterback play. I'll say the difference between Nussmeier's struggles and Jaden's struggles is Jaden would take it and run for 3 yards if there was nothing there. Nussmeier has a tendency to force it in when there's nothing there, or there's something that's not quite as open as he should. And that's been the big difference is Jaden, the offense looked anemic at times when it wasn't clicking, but under Nussmeier, it's destructive. It's self-destructive. Self-destruction has a lot more consequences than punting the ball after 3 and out. You know what I mean?
It does, for sure. Caden Durham, 20 of 70 snaps on Saturday. I know that Mike Scarborough, if they're Tiger Braid's not thrilled with that. What do you think about it?
I mean, he got 8 carries, right? I mean, and he had the hot hand. I mean, so he runs for 45 or 55 yards on his first carry. So let's give him the ball 7 more times. Look, man, you've heard me talk about this even before the season. I remember telling you this offseason, if Josh Williams is lining up inside the 5-yard line, I'm going to be a little pissy. Well, here I am. That happened twice against Alabama, and I love Josh Williams. Best story on the team. There's nothing not to like about Josh Williams except for how his coaches choose to use him. And I have to have some serious questions about this running back rotation and how much communication is there between Frank Wilson and Joe Sloan when fitting the right personnel for the right play call. Are you putting Josh Williams in the goal line thinking, well, if they call, a screen, or if they, call, a pass out to him, he'll be able to catch the ball well? Or are you thinking, all right, we're going to line it up with Josh Williams and have him bulldoze some people over? I have to question that when Caden Durham's been a little muscle hamster all season. He's been the guy to fight for extra yards more so than anybody. So I'm not happy with the running back rotation. And I remember telling you last week that why do you need to rotate so many guys out when you're going to run the ball 25 times in a game and you're going to air it out 50 times? Like, what's the point of doing that much rotation? Is your best running back no longer your best running back when he's at 95% speed because he's ran the ball 3 times on a drive? I think they need to go with a heavier hand with Durham. I'm personally, I look at this as a coaching blunder, but what do I know, man?
Does LSU win on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon?
Well, you know what a great diagnosis for a team that's lost 2 straight and darn near taking themselves out of all relevancy. I thought LSU season was over until all these, I guess these hope pushers started saying, well, LSU's actually alive for the SEC championship. So I'll say darn near. How about we play a Billy Napier team in Florida who does not have their act together. Their starting quarterback's hurt. Their backup quarterback's banged up. And frankly, he doesn't have much incentive to actually win this game because his job's guaranteed. That's exactly what the doctor diagnosed. Go get that and then go get ready for what I'm expecting to be a tough Vanderbilt team. I think Vanderbilt's the toughest team left on your schedule at this point. So I think Tigers take care of business.
You can find him here every single Friday, Monday nights on YouTube on the Tiger Bait channel. Preston Guy from TigerBait.com. Have a great weekend, man.
Hunt, thanks for having me.
Always our pleasure. Chat with Preston each and every Friday. We'll take a time out, get you ready for the NFL slate on Sunday. It's a Football Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. When you think Genesis of Baton Rouge, you should think luxury. But when you think luxury, don't immediately go right to price tag. Genesis of Baton Rouge is luxury, but at an affordable price. I think a lot of times when you hear luxury vehicle, people think, oh, well, I can't swim in those waters, and you start thinking about different brands. Give Genesis a shot. Go by the dealership, Airline at Piku, chat with one of their brand ambassadors, get behind the wheel, see the style, see how sleek, safe, comfortable. It's a fantastic line of vehicles, and every single vehicle on the line was given an IIHA top safety pick. Some of them were top safety picks plus. Every single facet that you're looking for in a vehicle, you can find at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Just get on by and check them out. I know that most of you probably have not because they're new to the scene, only been at Airline and Piku for just over a year and a half. But you can get on by and see them, get behind the wheel of a Genesis, and get behind the wheel of a Genesis for good. It's probably what's going to happen if you do. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday show is brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. You're craving a po' boy? No better spot in BR to grab one than Quirks. Got the fried shrimp po' boy with those jumbo Gulf shrimp. Fried catfish po' boys. Those are crispy. Got the lettuce, tomato, mayo. Awesome stuff over there at Corks. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Get on by and see them. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you by. I saw Michael, one of the owners, on Saturday before the LSU-Alabama game. We were dodging raindrops, but he said that they're doing fantastic over there on Government Street, and appreciate y'all for patronizing our friends over there at Corks. We tell you about them every single Friday. We still got lots to do over the next 90 minutes. Got to talk LSU in Florida from my perspective. Going to get my picks on that game, as well as the Saints and Browns. Still got to do my SEC picks against the spread. We're still hanging in there. Got some non-conference games to sprinkle in there with monster lines. I was pretty good at that early in the season, so we'll see how that goes. But right now, every single Friday, we always get you ready for the NFL slate to come. So let's do that with our tier list. Tier 4 is as packed today as it has been all year. There is some trash football going on this weekend in the NFL. Let's get to it. The Jaguars are at the Lions. Mac Jones, who is awful at football, is going to play because Trevor Lawrence is hurt. Jaguars have been fairly competitive, but they're 1-6 in one-score games, and that's why their record is what it is, and that's why Doug Peterson may be out of a job here pretty shortly. The Vikings are at the Titans. Sam Darnold has 6 turnovers in the last 2 games after really playing well out of the gate. He's playing very poorly now, and because of that, Justin Jefferson doesn't have a touchdown in his last 3 games, which never happens for him. Vikings are leaking oil, and the Titans never beat anybody, so that's some bad football. The Raiders are at the Dolphins. The Raiders, if they lose, would lose 6 straight. They haven't lost 6 straight since they went 0-10 to start 2014. Jordan Kitchens, who was their head coach when they went 0-10 in 2014?
Well, it's not hard to pick a loser. Dennis Allen.
Dennis Allen is correct. Raiders looking for history there in that perspective. The Rams are at the Patriots. A Patriots win would be the first time they've won back-to-back home games since 2022. I hope they enjoyed that 20-year run of brilliance, because they're a long way from it right now in New England, and the Rams aren't faring much better at this point. Colts are at the Jets. Anthony Richardson's back in. The Jets, this is one of the funniest notes I saw today. The Jets missed 20 tackles last week, so they had someone come in to do a tackling seminar for the defense and the offense. I don't know if that's going to help, but the Jets are terrible. All right, that's Tier 4. Here's Tier 3. Not great, but it's Packers at Bears, a rivalry game. The Packers have beaten the Bears 10 times in a row. The Bears fired Shane Waldron this week, and there's pretty good reason for them firing their offensive coordinator. Over the last 3 games, the Bears are last in the NFL in points per game, 9. Last in the NFL in yards per play, 3.7. Last in the NFL in third down conversions, 15%. And last in the NFL in touchdowns in the last 3 games. They have none. They haven't scored a touchdown in a month. Tough stuff there in Chicago. They may have ruined Caleb Williams. All right, better stuff. Here's Tier 2. This Sunday Night Football, the Bengals are at the Chargers. Chargers lead the NFL in points per game allowed, just 13.1 points per game allowed. The Bengals, incidentally, are 6th in offensive points per game. Big swing game here for the Bengals, according to ESPN's metrics. If they win this game, 52% chance to make the playoffs. If they lose it on the road at LA, 37% chance to make the playoffs. So a big one for Joe B, Jamar Chase, and company in Cincy. All right, the Falcons are at the Broncos. Atlanta is the worst in the NFL in terms of opponents' completion percentage. They're the worst in the NFL when it comes to quarterback pressures, and the worst in the NFL when it comes to sacks. That is not good on defense for the Atlanta Falcons. See if Bo Nix can have some fun. We all know that Sean Payton owns the Atlanta Falcons, so see if that continues in Denver on Sunday. The Seahawks are at the 49ers. 49ers have won 6 straight regular season and playoff games against the Seahawks. 49ers have won 6 consecutive regular season and playoff games against the Seahawks. Brock Purdy, 8-2 against division teams as a starter. See what San Francisco can do, getting Christian McCaffrey reacclimated to things on the offensive side. 2 games in Tier 1. This is the best action of the weekend. We'll start with the Ravens at the Steelers. Big-time AFC North showdown. Lamar Jackson is playing the best football in the NFL right now. 22 touchdowns to 1 interception over his last 8 games. The Ravens on the other side, not as good. They have the worst passing defense in the NFL, 294 yards per game. The Steelers averaged 30.3 points per game in their last 3, playing pretty well with Russell Wilson. That'd be a huge win for them there in Pittsburgh. In the last game, Chiefs at the Bills, really the top tier of the AFC going at it on Sunday. Josh Allen against the Chiefs, 16 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He has played his best football regular season and playoffs against Kansas City. The Bills are on a 5-game win streak right now. They're playing good football. The Chiefs are just getting it done. They're not covering. They're 0-4 against the AFC in their last 4 games against the spread, but they're winning every single week. This game's at Buffalo. Can the Bills hang the first loss of the season on the Chiefs? We will find out on Sunday. That is your look around the National Football League. Boys, how do we like those top 2 games in the AFC? Ravens at Steelers and Chiefs at Bills.
Really good. Is Lamar Jackson going to go back-to-back MVP?
If he keeps doing this, yes. As a guy who watches Bengals games and is pulling against him, it is maddening. He is a monster out there. They can't tackle him. He's deadly accurate on the run and in the pocket. He's a monster.
Yes.
Yeah. Hard to argue with the results.
Yes.
Give me winners for those 2 games. Ravens at Steelers, Chiefs at Bills. Jordan?
Ooh, it's hard because the Russell Wilson effect is kind of real right now, and the Ravens are known to do extremely well and then drop a stinker.
They lost to the Raiders earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're
How did
always
that happen?
do.
And the Browns a couple weeks ago.
I mean, I can't claim to have watched either one of those games because we're not going to get them here, and I'm not going to go seek my way out to watch AFC North football that I'm not involved in.
Yeah.
But I watched the Ravens every time they play the Bengals, and they look unbeatable.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but it happened.
Give me
Steelers.
winners.
So I'll probably say the Steelers because that will hurt the Ravens though if they do end up losing that game. But the Steelers notoriously have a good defensive plan for Lamar, so I'll take the Steelers.
Tomlin.
What was the other game you said?
Chiefs at Bills.
I feel like they play every year at this point. Even outside of the playoffs, they play every year. Man, if Josh Allen, you don't get this done, it might be over.
The
for
Chiefs
him.
put a stranglehold on home field advantage if they win this game. That would be
Yeah,
the
they
third
wrap it
loss
up.
for the Bills, and they'd be 10-0. You would feel like they were the road to the Super Bowl would go through Arrowhead if they win. But if the Bills do win this game, you're within a game, and all of a sudden anything can happen kind of down the stretch. To a point that I was making about that game previously, Mike Tomlin. I don't think he's an underrated coach because everyone knows he's a great coach, but I'm amazed at what he is doing up there because you had that incredible run where you could just trust Roethlisberger even though he was hurt half the time. He'd will you and you could get to 9, 10, 11 wins.
Yep.
That's gone. That whole thing is turned over, and now it's kind of a defensive team with T.J. Watt rushing the passer, and they kind of put whatever Fields, Wilson, whoever they got week to week, and they're still winning games. It's the anti-Dennis Allen.
It's so impressive because, like you said, it's the anti-Dennis Allen. You watch Dennis Allen just sit here and sit on his thumb for multiple weeks, and Mike Tomlin come around here with me, you, and Beck as a starting offense, and we're going to get 9 wins this season.
I don't quite have the speed I once had.
Well, hey, Hunt, don't underestimate Mike Tomlin. He'll put you in a position to succeed.
That's clear. Do we need to stop picking on Dennis Allen?
You're right. The body is cold now. The body say, I'll give it a rest. I'll give it a rest,
No more Dennis Allen slander for the next at least 3 minutes while we're in commercial break. Take a timeout. We'll come back and talk about the Saints and the Browns coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Give yourself the peace of mind to know that your power is not going to go out. In this part of the world, power outages are inevitable. We got hurricanes. We had an ice storm this year. We also have terrible drivers who run into poles. So protect yourself from all of those things with a Generac home standby generator from the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical Services. They're going to use the highest quality in tubing and wiring to get that generator installed, and they're going to do the majority of that installation underground so that it looks nice. A lot of folks take pride in the way their home looks. You don't want a huge honking generator right out there in front with tubes and wires going all over the place. They're going to make sure that it looks presentable and it's functional there at Boudreaux's Electrical. They're also going to monitor that generator 24/7. So if there's some sort of mechanical failure, or if you got kids out there that knock something over playing football and you don't even know about it, but you need that generator to respond when the power goes out, they'll know about it because they monitor the generator remotely. They'll come over and fix it so that when the power goes out, it flicks right on for you. Give them a call, 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562, or the Gonzalez store, 225-300-9389. That's 225-300-9389. Or you can check them out online. That's the easy way, BoudreauxElectrical.com, BoudreauxElectrical.com.
Let's talk turkey. Bayou Ford can get you in a new 2024 Ford F-150 with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off America's favorite F-150 truck. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to...
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Let's close out hour number 1 here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show and talk some Saints-Browns here. Saints, things have equalized a little bit. We talked to Luke Johnson from The Advocate yesterday. He's been around the facility this week, been around practice. And he said last week you could definitely tell that kind of a fog had been lifted. And this week it feels a little bit more business as usual. The question is that a good thing for the Saints, or did they need that emotional bump from last week? I would suggest their opponent from last week is a better team than their opponent for Sunday. The Saints took care of the Falcons in the Dome, and that's a good Falcons team. They got issues on defense, no question. But their offense is good. It's got a good quarterback. They've got a lot of weapons. And I thought the Saints defense, especially in closing out the game, did a great job on Sunday to get that done. You felt like when the Saints weren't able to finish it on offense, the defense would give it up. But they didn't. They got a turnover late, and they got a big stop on 4th down to seal the win. And Cleveland's got a great defense. And they've got maybe the best pass rusher in the sport in Myles Garrett. TJ Watt will have a thing to say about that. Trey Hendrickson would have a thing to say about that. But Myles Garrett's a monster. And Taliesin Fuanga is going to have a long Sunday afternoon trying to deal with him. He'll have some help, but that's a big concern. And that is my biggest concern with the Saints. It's not even the wide receiver play, which is not great. But I think they can make that work. You saw MVS make some plays, and you get Cedric Wilson back, and I think you can function out there, but can you block? And that's a big deal. Eric McCoy comes back. I don't want to diminish that. And it really leads into my key to the game for the Saints, which is you got to run the ball. Because if you get behind the sticks, you're not going to be able to hold up. I don't want Taliesin Fuanga and Trevor Penning out there on islands dealing with this Browns pass rush that has been a nightmare for quite a few teams over the last 2 years. But if you can run it like they did in the first 2 weeks, then you can slow that down. And you can make things easier on your offensive line, which, quite frankly, would rather go forward than backwards anyway. So the running game is crucial to the Saints in this game. The defense, I think, is going to be fine because I don't think Jameis is very good. And I think Jameis is going to throw it to the wrong team probably on multiple occasions. The fun thing to watch here for the Saints is you're now ushering in a new era of defensive backs. Marshawn Lattimore has locked down one side of that football field for a long time. And Paulson Adebo was great on his rookie deal. Those guys are gone. So now it's time for two new guys that Dennis Allen handpicked. And say what you will about Dennis Allen. Didn't win enough games. Didn't do a great job in terms of roster assembly. Didn't have his teams back. Lost the locker room, whatever. He's good at evaluating defensive backs, drafting them and developing them. The Saints have had a plethora of good defensive backs his entire tenure. And he's handpicked Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid McKinstry to be the next guys. And you get to start seeing that now. And we've talked about this with the New Orleans Saints. They have got to get younger and cheaper. Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid McKinstry are young and cheap. And if they're good, you can forget about those two positions on the field for a couple of years and go supplement elsewhere. And Green Bay, I don't even know where that came from in my brain. Cleveland has moved on from its top target. He's in Buffalo. But they're going to throw the football. And Jameis Winston is going to put some balls up there in some tight windows where you can make plays on the ball, both with breakups and interceptions. And I'm excited to see Kool-Aid McKinstry and Alontae Taylor do that because they're the future. It's a very, very cool thing that you'll be able to kind of watch the rest of. Very little of this Saints roster feels set. Like, I don't know what's going to happen over the next couple of years at tight end. I don't know if Kendre Miller is going to be the next guy behind Alvin Kamara. I don't know how long Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback for the Saints. I don't feel like you have a great handle on a lot of the pieces on this roster. But this can be put to bed for the next 3 years if those two guys are what you think they're going to be. And you used high picks on them. McKinstry higher than Taylor, but high picks. And they'll have their opportunity to make some plays in what's going to be probably a pretty average environment in the Dome. So I'm excited to watch this to an extent. Probably as excited outside of last week as anybody's been to watch the Saints in a month and a half. But you've got some opportunity, one, to see what this offense starts to look like as it gets healthier on the interior with McCoy, Kamara, and Carr back fully now. And then on defense to see what you got on the perimeter. So I like this matchup for the Saints. I'll make my pick later on in the show. But I think they've got a good chance to win this game. Again, I don't know if that's the best thing for the franchise to win the game, but I think they've got a reasonable chance to pull this off. I think the way that they don't is that the running game doesn't work, and then you let that pass rush get going, and then I can see a scenario where Cleveland holds the Saints to 13 points, and then you might be in some trouble. Like, that's where this thing could flip. So for me, it's, do the Saints get the running game going, and what do the guys on the outside look like, kind of ushering in a new era? Any of that pique your interest over there, Jordan Kitchens?
Only thing that's really piqued my interest with the Saints is the idea of getting a top 5 pick. So
you want them to lose?
Well, I know I would like for the Saints to lose, but the odds of us losing are pretty slim to none. Like, this is the prime position.
That's an admirable position.
Oh yeah, no. Well, when I break it down, this is a prime position where Derek Carr likes to be. Expectations are gone. Just go in there and just let it fly. He's gonna let it fly to Valdez, Scantlin, and all that. When we could have used this some weeks back, but he's gonna come out there and do that. Jameis, he's due for a couple interceptions. Like, I see the script. The Browns, it'll be nip and tuck. It's not like the Saints gonna blow anybody out, but I think the Saints will pull it off and probably get the ball rolling a little bit and then crash and burn at the end. So
I think the Browns are probably going to try to run the ball a lot. The Falcons ran the ball really well against the Saints last week. I don't really know why they threw it so much. They probably could have just run the ball. They averaged 6 yards a carry. The Browns got Nick Chubb back a couple weeks ago. He's pretty good.
Yes, he's pretty good. I've heard of him.
If they can give him 20, 25 carries, I think that's the way the Browns win, and their defense just plays as well as they have all year.
I've watched this Browns defense give Joe Burrow fits for 4 years.
Yep.
They can't move the ball. And that's the recipe for the Saints.
It is, yeah.
Getting beat on Sunday if they just can't block them. And that's possible. But kind of like I was talking about with Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid McKinstry, I think you're getting a baptism by fire by Talese Fuanga, but I feel differently about it because I do like those corners in their matchups against the Browns wide receivers, I think it's going to be a long day for Fuaga, and that's okay. It's okay if in your 9th, 10th NFL game you have a hard time blocking Myles Garrett. Like that's okay if it goes like that. That doesn't mean you're a bust. That just means it's your turn that week because he does it to everybody.
All pros, Pro Bowlers, you name it.
He's a tough dude to deal with. I saw him at the Under Armour All-American game with Fournette and all those guys, the 5-for-5 day. I was like, who the hell is that guy? Well, it's 10 years later and he's still doing it. That's it for hour number 1 here. Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Presented by Course Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. When we come back, my SEC picks against the spread. Still got to talk more LSU and Florida. We'll pause for Sports Center. See you on the other side. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, it's a big deal in the bathroom, especially as people age. It can be a hazardous place. If you need to have non-slip floors put in, they can do it. You need to have handrails put in dangerous places like the tub in the shower, they can do it. Need to put a bench in the shower, they can do it. These are the kind of things that David Duvall and his team do all the time. So if there's someone in your life that wants to stay in the house, but maybe hazardous situation in the bathroom, let David Duvall and his team come and help. It starts with a free consultation. That doesn't cost you anything to have Dave come out and see what they can do for you. And then if you want to talk about payment, financing options are absolutely available. Get 18 months, 0% if you qualify. Start the process at onebathandclosets.com. You can see pictures of their great work and read the reviews from their satisfied clients. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Bills tight end Dalton Kincaid is out for Sunday's big game against the Chiefs with a left knee injury. Buffalo wideout Keon Coleman was already ruled out for that game. Big SEC matchup tomorrow night for 12th-ranked Georgia and number 7 Tennessee. The Bulldogs back home after losing their second game of the season last week. ESPN's Holly Rowe.
Kirby's really good at motivating his team, but he is also a Nick Saban disciple. And by that, I mean it is the process, the process, the process. And, you know, he is one of those that is, we have to quickly turn our attention off a devastating loss at Ole Miss.
Holly Rowe on Greeny, Tennessee at Georgia tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern on ABC. Nikola Jokic of the Nuggets is out for tonight's NBA Cup game against the Pelicans for personal reasons. The MLB Players Union settles a lawsuit against FanDuel that accused the sports betting company of using Major League ball players' names and likenesses without permission. The two sides have now signed a confidential licensing agreement.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Can always find that menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. Got to talk LSU-Florida, specifically Garrett Nussmeier's confidence when we come back in 15 minutes. Take it or leave it. Still coming up this hour, and my picks for LSU and Florida and the Saints and the Browns. But at the top of the second hour, every single Friday, we dive into my SEC picks against the spread. We're going to do so again today, but we got to get caught up on how things have gone. It was a good week last weekend, 4-1. That puts us at 46-41 on the season. 5 games over 500. It was a good bounce back week back after a pathetic 1-5 week in week 10, where we simply laid too many points. I think we determined that was the issue.
I've tried to tell you that every time you lay all these points on and you just don't listen, but you listened last week because you took some underdogs and they won.
I did. It was a solid week. So we got to get this week, which is week 12, underway. Let's crank it up, Mac. All right, we start 11 o'clock kickoff, renewal of a Southwest Conference rivalry. Texas is at Arkansas. The Hogs are catching 12 on their home field. Let's see. It's hard for me to shake Arkansas's big game performances of late. After the Tennessee game, LSU went up there and beat them 34-10, and Ole Miss beat them 63-31. Defense just didn't show up at all. Arkansas is dead last in the SEC in pass defense this year, and they let LSU run the ball over them. Well, that's not a good sign for anybody. Ewers got hot last week. I think he stays hot this week. I just think Arkansas can generally punch down at the Mississippi States of the world. They're not ready to punch up anymore outside of the Tennessee game against LSU, Ole Miss, and now Texas. I think Texas is going to win this game by a couple of scores. I will lay the 12 points. Beck, don't look at me like that. All right, 11:45. ULM is in they're not in Tuscaloosa. They're in Auburn to take on the Auburn Tigers. 25.5 is the number. ULM played Texas earlier this year, and they lost 51-3. They've allowed 37 points per game the last 3 weeks to South Alabama, Marshall, and Texas State. Not great. However, Auburn is 14th in the SEC in scoring offense. I just feel like in this spot, Auburn doesn't have a lot to play for. They still got the Iron Bowl coming up. 25.5 seems like a lot. I'll take the Warhawks, and I'll go to the Plains and take the 25.5 points against a bad Auburn team. Murray State Racers are in Kentucky, Kroger Field. Keep in mind, Kentucky got a big basketball win over Duke this week. I don't think anybody in their fan base knows football's even going on. 37.5 is the number. Cats have lost 5 straight in football. Their offensive outputs in those 4 of those 5, 13 against Vanderbilt, 20 against Florida, 10 against Auburn, 18 against Tennessee. But Murray State is 1-9 this year, and their defense allowed 59 to Missouri State, 52 to South Dakota State, and 59 to North Dakota State. That's really bad. I'm sorry, 37.5 seems like child's play if you're going to give up 52 to South Dakota State and North Dakota State. I'll take Kentucky to run it up in a game. It doesn't matter.
Hunt.
They're not really good teams.
No,
They're,
in
fact, very bad teams.
No, South Dakota and North Dakota State are good, Hunt.
Bad
they're
football
good.
teams. Very bad.
Okay.
Kentucky, minus 37.5. Mercer is at Alabama. 41.5 is the number here. Mercer's rolling into T-Town 9-1 on the season. I never heard of any teams they've beaten, but they are 9-1. I think Bama has a letdown here. I think they don't really care about this game. Give me Mercer. 41.5 seems like a lot of points. I just got to hold Bama south of 50. Seems fairly doable. Let's try that. Mercer, 41.5. We'll take it. Missouri's at South Carolina. 13.5 is the number here. I checked earlier this morning. Brady Cook listed as doubtful for Missouri. So it's back to Drew Pine, who led them to a comeback win over Oklahoma last week. Missouri's 11th in the conference in run defense. That's not good against a South Carolina team that just wants to run it. Missouri is 10th in the SEC in sacks allowed. That's not good against a South Carolina team that flat gets after the passer. South Carolina's really good, y'all. It's a good football team. Missouri, I've called them frauds for a month. They are frauds. They're not good. South Carolina wins this game by 20+. 13.5, not nearly enough in Columbia, South Carolina. It's going to be a fired-up crowd, a good football team. Give me the Gamecocks. I'll lay the points. Big one in Athens. 9.5 is the number for Tennessee at Georgia. We don't know about Nico. We don't know if he's going to play or not. You can ask two different people. You get two different answers. Georgia punked Texas in Austin and then got punked by Ole Miss. We know that they're not the dominant juggernaut they were at once because Bama laid it to them in the first half and ended up beating them, and Ole Miss just absolutely hammered them for 4 quarters in Oxford. So we don't know about Georgia. The Vols, we know their defense is good. They haven't allowed anybody to score 20 points. You've heard that a million times. I think if they can hold Georgia to 24 points, they can cover 9.5 with or without Nico. So I'll take Tennessee. I'll take the 9.5 points. If Carson Beck gets hot and Georgia scores 35 points, then I don't think Tennessee will cover. I don't think that's going to happen. I like the Vols' defense. I'll take the 9.5 points in that game. And then at 6:45, the nightcap in Southeastern Conference play, New Mexico State is at Texas A&M. It's a 39-point number. New Mexico State is 2-7, and their defense is one of the worst in the country. They're 127th in the country of 134 teams in scoring defense. A&M's coming off a bye. I don't think it's a letdown spot. Their last taste in their mouth is going to South Carolina. I'll lay the 39 points with Texas A&M. I think that they can do that against the worst defense that they'll see all season long. So give me Marcel Reed and the Aggies. If they get Connor Wigman in there, I might have some problems, but I'll take Marcel Reed and the Ags to cover the 39 points against New Mexico State. That is my week in the SEC. Texas minus 12, ULM plus 25.5, Kentucky minus 37.5, Mercer catching 41.5 in T-Town, South Carolina hammering Missouri, 13.5 is the number there. Tennessee catching 9.5, and Texas A&M minus 39.
Yeah,
I'm feeling real convicted on that South Carolina pick.
So when I write down all the teams and their matchups in this document we have.
Yes.
And I don't put. Once you say your answer, I'll put like so and so over so and so, and then I put the points, the spread line. For all of them, I didn't put anything except for the team names. But for South Carolina, Missouri, I knew you were going to take South Carolina that game because you just hate Missouri.
They suck.
And they're not
terrible.
very good. No, I get it. I get it. Yes.
I really don't dislike Eli Drinkwitz. I think it's fine when he gets on there and calls people out and stuff. I just don't think his football team's any good.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not great. I think South Carolina is pretty good, so I don't have any qualms there. I know that it's Murray State, New Mexico State, but that's so many points. I think you win there though. I mean, you did well in the first few weeks of the season.
Those lines are.
with those crazy lines.
It's purely a how much does Bama care.
It is, yeah.
And
it is.
My guess is that Milroe will throw some, and they'll win the game 40-7.
Maybe, yeah.
And that's a cover.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I struggled with quite a few of these. Texas and Arkansas.
That one is just interesting because Texas just hasn't.
They haven't done anything.
They haven't done anything.
I mean, they beat a Florida team that had no quarterback last week, and I was really hoping LSU.
Maybe Oklahoma that had no quarterback.
They beat an Oklahoma with they can have no injuries and they have no quarterback.
Yeah.
And it's a rivalry game. Arkansas fans will care. By the way, nice home schedule for the Razorback season ticket holders.
It really has.
They got LSU, Ole Miss, Texas, and Tennessee.
Not bad.
I mean, it sucks that you're going to probably lose 3 of them, but you got the Tennessee game.
Got it.
That's a lot of fun weekends up on the hill until they kick the ball off and you get your butt kicked. I think that. Oh, you didn't give me your thoughts on Tennessee and Georgia.
Yeah, that one. I like the pick. As I've said before, I think Tennessee is the best team in the SEC. Of course, I'll probably be proven wrong this Saturday.
But would you be shocked if Georgia wins this game 38-13?
I will be.
You'll be shocked.
I will be
Okay.
because Carson Beck has been so bad.
Yes.
He's thrown so many interceptions in the last few games. In the big games, he has not played well.
But Georgia has a tendency to do that to teams. Like the Hendon Hooker team went in there and just got annihilated.
Yeah.
Ole Miss went in there last year kind of riding high, got flattened.
They're obviously. I mean, look, they're going to
bring up TCU.
They're going to be
was a different
pissed.
team.
They're going to be pissed coming into this game. I mean, they got flat out beat by Ole Miss, and Kirby Smart is going to be laying into them this whole week. So I'm sure they're going to be fired up and they're going to play, with their hair on fire. But I just really like Tennessee, and I think their defense is really good and their running game is really good. And as long as if they can capitalize, because Carson Beck is going to turn the ball over, if they can get some points off those turnovers and run the ball effectively and kind of play, clock control, keep the ball away from Georgia, then it's going to be low scoring, and I think it's going to be close all the way.
That would be a good cover for me.
It would be.
We'll see how many games. 1, 2, 3, 4,
6,
5, 6, 7 games. So be a big swing.
Yeah, I didn't know you were even going to do those because I couldn't even find lines for those.
I just Googled them and they'll show up.
Games, but
you can find them if you Google.
Yeah.
So all good. You already knew I was going to take South Carolina.
I knew it.
We'll grade them on Monday. When we come back, let's talk Tigers and Gators. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Awesome night at LeBears last night inside ESPN Bet. We had Jaden Daniels and the Commanders on. That didn't go great, but they also were able to put the LSU-Kansas State game on streaming on ESPN Plus right there on the big screen as well. It was a split screen, and they had them, so I was able to keep track of both. It was a great time. It's an awesome place to watch games. So get on by ESPN Bet inside LeBears. Great food, awesome drink specials, comfortable chairs, blackjack tables in walking distance right there in the sports book. It's a fantastic spot to watch the games. You can get on by on Saturday to watch them all because LSU is out of town. Plus, you can sign up for the Cover 5 SEC contest. Download the Cover 5 app and put in the code LABRSEC24. I inputted my picks earlier today. I'm not going to tell you my picks, but if you just listen to the show, you would have them. But you can compete against me and dozens of other listeners as well. If you're not a member, get the Pin Play app today. LeBears Baton Rouge, your live sports headquarters. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966 for help.
Let's talk turkey. Bayou Ford can get you in a new 2024 Ford F-150 with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off America's favorite F-150 truck. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
LSU in Florida tomorrow from the Swamp. 2:30 Central Time kickoff in Gainesville. If I back things up, that puts me on the air at 12:30. That means I can't do it, 8:30 or 9:30? 9:30?
6 hours before.
5 hours before kick.
Or 5, yeah.
So
5.
9:30.
Yeah.
Just math. I just don't math.
No.
I don't math good at all. But at 9:30, our coverage here at Guarantee starts off with Eagle 98.1 Game Day. We'll be on for 3 hours. I'll hand it off to me on the LSU Sports Radio Network for the pregame show. At 12:30, I'll go until 2 o'clock or thereabouts. Hand it to the broadcast team back in Gainesville. And then 90 minutes after it goes final, you can catch Charlie and Richard Dixon on Eagle 98.1 Game Day's post-game show. I'm on 30 minutes after the game goes final with Brandon. No Brandon Taylor this week because he's hunting stuff in Mexico. But Marlon's here. He was on with the morning show guys this morning, and he'll be with me tomorrow for pregame and postgame. So looking forward to for all your coverage tomorrow, starting at 9:30 in the morning, going through probably about 10 o'clock at night. Generally about 12 hours of coverage there over on Eagle 98.1. I was surprised yesterday. I was very surprised yesterday that Billy Napier announced DJ Lagway would play. I've given my reasons for that all week, and they haven't really changed. DJ Lagway is really the only thing that football program has going for it. No one in blue and orange really believes in Billy Napier. They're not playing for anything this year. Their recruiting class is not great. The defense has been gashed all year. The offense has been spotty. Lagway is the hope for that program. If he's great, Napier's got a chance. If he's not, well, they'll be making a change next year. And for them to risk him 2 weeks after he had been carted off the field with a hamstring injury felt ridiculous to me. And it still kind of does. And I've never pulled a hamstring, and I'm not an orthopedic doctor. So my opinion on the matter is uneducated and not really worth all that much. But it feels like that's an injury, in my opinion, that would be pretty easy to re-injure. And if he's the hope of the football program, I just don't know why you would put him out there in a chance where there's a reasonable risk he could re-injure that hamstring. Just my thoughts. Maybe he feels 100% and he can give it a go tomorrow and he's full strength. Maybe he's not, but just wants to gut it out. And that's the part I just am not really sure about. It's hard to analyze this game when you don't know how well Lagway can run. And I detailed earlier this week, he's not a huge running threat. He's a good athlete. He does not run like Taylon Green. He does not run like Jalen Milroe. He doesn't run like Jaden Daniels. He runs like Joe Burrow. He runs like Jackson Dart. Like he's a good athlete. But what Florida does like to do with him back there is do all the ball handling stuff with the read option and get the run game going. And I can promise you that will be mission number one for Florida for sure, is the running game. That's why back on Wednesday when I gave you keys to this game, the biggest key to the game for me was LSU's front seven defensively matching up with Florida's front seven, offensive front. Can you hold the point of attack and slow the running game down? If you do, and you force Lagway to sit back in the pocket and throw, he's not going to be great. LSU will get pressure on him. LSU's corners have played better. Eugene Wilson III is not playing in this game. This is a Florida offense that's not loaded with playmakers. And if Lagway's got to sit back there and throw much of the night, he's not going to hurt you all that bad. But if you can run the ball, that's what Florida wants to do, and they just ran it right down Kentucky's throat. Lagway hit a couple of big plays through the air that weren't necessarily pinpoint throws. He just gave his guys a chance to go make a play one-on-one, and a couple times they did. But LSU's got to stop the run. And if they do that, and I don't think it's going to be a ton of Lagway, but it'll be some, then they'll be fine on defense. This is not like Jalen Milroe. This is not like Marcel Reed. As far as LSU's offense goes, they should get a rhythm going. But I think a lot of you who are listening to this and who are LSU fans are down on the quarterback right now. And he's turned the ball over too much. There's just no two ways about it. But this is pretty simple. Like, LSU's not going to turn into some running juggernaut. LSU's wide receivers are not all of a sudden going to morph into Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. For LSU to move the ball, Garrett Nussmeier's got to play better. And he did early in the season. 2.5 weeks ago, we thought he was the best quarterback in the conference. And now he's in a slump. And Brian Kelly talked about him last night and kind of how he's evolved this week and what it's been like. And I thought the statement he made was a pretty powerful one.
I've spent a lot of time with him this week. I think he's been thoughtful, intentional. He's taken leadership. I just like the way he's locked in this week. And my experience tells me that when a quarterback is this locked in, you might want to watch the game, because I think he's going to have a heck of a game.
I tend to think Kelly, generally speaking, tells the truth at the podium.
The only thing is that's the TJ Rib show. So like, that was the press conference. Like, that was the press conference. So that's I was gonna say, like, because
sometimes
obviously
you play to the crowd.
Sometimes
sure.
but in that situation, no, you're right.
I think he's had a good week of practice. I was in the building this morning. As I told you yesterday, the teams responded pretty well. Certainly better than the fan base, which is to be expected. And I just feel like it's time for Garrett Nussmeier to bust out of this little slump here. And this is a good team, quite frankly, to do it against. And while LSU does need to run the ball and lessen the pressure on Garrett Nussmeier to perform at an all-world level, he is going to have to be good for LSU to win this game. And you're looking at a Florida team that has really faced 3 quality passing offenses. And Cam Ward to Miami is a quality passing offense, and they threw for 385 yards and 3 touchdowns on Florida. Carson Beck, despite the turnovers, throws for a lot of yards. And he threw for 309 and 2 touchdowns against Florida. And Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning last week for Texas, with Isaiah Bond and all those weapons on the outside, threw for 352 yards and 5 touchdowns on Florida. This is not DBU of Florida. This is a team that, when they've faced functional quarterbacks, have really struggled. And to that point, like, they couldn't even make Marcel Reed throw it because A&M just ran it for 350 yards on him. So Nussmeier needs to shake out of it, and this is a good spot for it. I think the first quarter of this game is massively important to LSU in 2 ways: to stop that Florida run and to get Nussmeier comfortable and to get a lead. If you can do that, I think LSU will be okay. I don't think the scenario we saw unfold in College Station is on the table this week, because I don't think Florida can dominate LSU up front the way A&M did. And I think that it will make Garrett Nussmeier feel more comfortable and those interceptions won't come. But make no mistake, teams have adjusted to the way they play LSU defensively over the last 3 weeks. You're seeing far more blitz-heavy pressures in the middle of the offensive line where DJ Chester is playing, where another redshirt freshman in Paul Mabenga is playing. They're going up the gut there to make Garrett Nussmeier uncomfortable, and he has not really responded to that very well. But LSU knows that now. It's time for LSU to adjust. And I'm pretty confident that it's going to happen, because I don't think a Florida defense that is without its second best linebacker and without its top 2 corners, missing 4 DBs in total, is really ready to dominate LSU the way that A&M did in the second half and that Alabama did for 4 quarters. It has probably a little bit more to do with what Florida's got as opposed to LSU just reinventing the wheel. I've watched the same 6 quarters y'all have all watched as well. But I also watched this team dominate Arkansas. I also watched this team, after going down 17-0 against South Carolina, really impose its will the rest of the way outside of 2 big plays. So it's nice to talk about LSU being far better on defense and being far better in the run game, and all that stuff needs to make improvements. But the fact of the matter is that this LSU team, and it's the same thing I told you last week when we were breaking down LSU and Alabama. It was the first thing I did talking LSU-Bama, the first segment we did on that game last week. I said, we're going to talk about every angle of this game. But the fact of the matter is, if LSU doesn't get really good play from Garrett Nussmeier, they're in trouble. And Garrett Nussmeier turned the ball over 3 times. Garrett Nussmeier and his offense didn't get the ball in the end zone in the red zone. One of those was a combo of the 2 where he made a turnover in the red zone. It is what it is. And at this point, you're not going to change your stripes. So I've got a column up at LouisianaSports.net that kind of alludes to this, but I think that it's a pretty simple breakdown there. And I think that Florida lacks the dudes to just completely combat LSU. The variable I cannot account for right this second when I'm breaking down this game and thinking about it and looking at the highlights and looking at the stats page and going over some of the picks that we've heard from analysts, like I can't account for what DJ Lagway's hamstring feels like. And we're just not going to know until he goes out there. And I feel like the exact same shoes are going to be on Blake Baker's feet. Like, he doesn't know either. I'm sure they have a plan for Aiden Warner. I'm sure they have a plan for a DJ Lagway that's handing the ball off on every read option and not running. And I'm sure they have a plan for DJ Lagway if he looks like he's a full go. And you're just going to have to feel it out. You have to start with the assumption he's a full go, but you may come off that. And if he's gimpy, LSU's going to turn up the heat. You heard Brian Kelly talk yesterday. Like, when teams have to throw against us, it's not a lot of fun. Arkansas had to throw against LSU. Tigers put the clamps on that. Ole Miss threw it a lot on LSU and got sacked 6 times. I think that could be very much the same for DJ Lagway, and he's a young enough player where if you can dial that pressure up and get it going and he can't move and run the way he wants to, he may put some balls in harm's way. We'll see. LSU in Florida at 2:30 tomorrow on ABC. All right, let's take a time out. When we come back, we'll do a little take it or leave it. My final picks, Saints, Browns, and LSU-Florida, coming up at the end of the show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. I know that we live in a delivery world. You don't go to the restaurant anymore. You have the food brought to you. You don't go to the store to get all your toiletries and whatnot. You have those just delivered to you. The same thing can apply in the car world. Go to genesisofbatonrouge.com and check out their line of vehicles. You see something you're interested in, which you probably will. You'd like to test drive it, but want it brought to you, they can bring it to you. One of their brand ambassadors will get in that car. They'll drive it right to you at work, at home. You can test drive it right there. If you don't want to go to the dealership to buy the car, you don't have to. They can do digital delivery. They got e-contracts. You never have to set foot at Airline in PQ to purchase a Genesis from Genesis of Baton Rouge. I would advise that you do, because it's a wonderful experience at an unbelievably clean and state-of-the-art dealership. But you don't have to. You can have it at your convenience. And when you purchase that Genesis at Genesis of Baton Rouge, you're talking about a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. That's as good as you're going to find in the industry. 10 years, 100,000 miles. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every car on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
It's a good day when payday comes on a Friday. You gotta like that.
That's nice.
It's a nice little perk. I mean, I'm not going to complain if payday's on a Tuesday. I'll take the cash, but it's nice when payday comes on a Friday. You feel like you can maybe go buy a 12-pack of cold pops. It's got all that new cash. What a great day. I'm actually going to go buy, I think, a margarita and go watch the baseball game.
Oh, all right.
Got the father-in-law's in town. He's got the Myers man, which is good.
Brought some baked ziti, I'm guessing.
I think he probably did. We'll see. I'll report back on Monday. Reminder, no Catholic High football tonight. Bears have a bye week in the playoffs, but Cade and his crew will be here at 6 o'clock for Louisiana Prep Preview. They'll get you ready for the high school action that will be tonight in the playoffs. And then at 10 o'clock, they'll be back for Louisiana Prep Scoreboard for all your scores around the state. Hopefully a huge Flyers win coming up tonight.
Yep.
Very doubtful. But Cade will have you covered from 10 to midnight tonight from inside the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio. So those guys do incredible work. If you got a kiddo in high school or you just want to be caught up on the scores, you can check them all out from 8 to 10 tonight on Louisiana Prep Scoreboard. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. 58-year-old Mike Tyson is fighting Jake Paul, as most people are aware.
Yep.
Iron Mike will knock him out. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it.
Yeah.
Here's my handicapping of this fight. I have no boxing knowledge, but this is what I think. This is like Patrick Ewing taking on like
some YouTube star
Damian
or something.
Collins. It's like Barry Sanders running against like Whit Weeks.
Well, it's not even close to that because Jake Paul is not really a real boxer.
He's not a boxer, but he's a young, strong man.
Yeah.
It's a fist fight.
Yeah.
I just think he's gonna beat up the 58-year-old man.
People forget because it's been so long ago, but Mike Tyson kept fighting
into his 40s.
And
he was terrible.
He was bad.
Those were professional boxers.
They were. But they were bottom of the barrel guys.
Yeah.
They should have been easy wins, and he was just losing. So people forget that because
that
it was 20
15 years ago.
20 years ago,
Yeah.
really.
It's I'm not going to watch a second of this. I could not possibly care less. But I think Jake Paul, who's in his mid-20s?
Yeah, he's like 27, I think.
I mean, the guy's 60 years old.
Yeah.
There are plenty of 60-year-olds that can probably beat me up, but I'm in terrible shape. So it is what it is.
No, this is purely just a spectacle for the money,
of course.
cash grabbing. They're wearing 14-ounce gloves, which people may not understand, but most heavyweight fights are 10 ounces. 14 ounces means that you cannot punch as fast.
Yes.
There's not as much velocity. So it's going to be a lot harder to get knocked out. The rounds are only 2 minutes as opposed to 3, so there's less time to get knocked out. So, and it's only 8 rounds as opposed to usually 10 or 12 for professional fights. So this is literally just going to be completely for money. They want eyeballs to watch the fight. I don't expect much to happen. I think Jake Paul could knock out Mike Tyson, but I don't expect much. I think it's going to be a snooze fest.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
that's generally what a lot of fights are. But by the way, I've said this many times on the air, so if you listen repeatedly, but the greatest endorsement of mixed martial arts in professional boxing I've ever heard, and I don't even remember who said it. It's been so many years now, but somebody, the analysts, they were talking about the interest in boxing. They said, here's your preview here. If LeBron James and Michael Jordan were both in their prime and playing one-on-one basketball, and a fist fight broke out on the other side of the court, what would you watch? And I was like, that's an incredible promotion for boxing, because I probably would go over there and watch two guys fight.
Yeah, people want to see it, man. It's just in our human instinct, you know, just fighting. All right, next one here. The Swamp is a top 3 venue in the SEC. Take it or leave it.
That's tough.
LSU, Kyle Field.
I'm gonna leave it. I don't know. I've seen it on fire. 06 and 08, it was rocking in there. And it was great. And I do think that I like the fact that it has a unique look. The orange walls and the Welcome to the Swamp writing there, it just has a unique feel to it that maybe some of the others kind of look a little more similar. But I don't think I'm going to give it
maybe not
a
right
top
now.
3 venue in the SEC.
It probably was, for sure.
There's a time where I've seen them all just about at their best. I would say I've seen as good as you can see them. I've seen LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Bama for sure, Auburn for sure, Florida for sure, Tennessee for sure, Georgia probably. I saw the Murray-Mettenberger game, although it was an afternoon game, was real good environment. So I haven't seen Kyle Field at its best. That was an 11 a.m. game, and A&M didn't know what Johnny Manziel was at that point. But I've seen them all really good, and the Swamp really good is really good, but I probably wouldn't put it top 3.
All right, next one here. We talked about this during one of the breaks, but
people are going to agree with me. Watch the chat.
The thermostat is down at 65 in a hotel room. Take it or leave it.
Take it. I mean, you get in there, you crank that thing down as far as it will go. You don't do that?
No.
What do you put the thermostat on in a hotel room?
I'll put it on like 68 or 69. Isn't it maybe
65? 64 is what I want. I want it to be
absurd.
An igloo in there.
That is absurdity, Hunt.
I'm telling you, people are going to agree with me. This is a very, very common practice. When you get into a hotel room and you're not paying for the electricity.
No, I know you're not paying for it.
You make it freezing in there.
It doesn't need to be freezing though. Do you keep it 65? Okay, you don't. If money were no object, you would keep it 65 in your house.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
I mean,
you want to be walking around with pants and a jacket all day?
So when I lived in an apartment in college, I wouldn't put the heater on. So in like January when I would just sleep in sweatpants.
I mean,
just get it.
My wife and I lived in an apartment, and utilities were included in the rent, and we still probably kept it on like 68 or 69 during the summer. Like that's ridiculous.
Real cold. You put the blankets on. It's like you can't beat that.
Okay, we've already got one in the chat. 68 is the right answer.
Oh, that's the terrible answer.
Okay. Next one here. The Goo Goo Dolls, Hunt, they announced their Summer Anthem 2025 tour today. Take it or leave it.
I mean, you got to take it. I think it's going to be tough for me to see said Goo Goo Dolls, though. The closest they're getting to good old BR is Nashville.
Dang, no casinos?
No, they're hitting up some really. I mean, Seattle gets a double feature back-to-back days. I guess I could get to Oklahoma City.
Maybe
that would be a spot that I could get to. But you're looking at a lot of. They're at Bangor, Maine, Guilford, New Hampshire.
When are they in Nashville?
Nashville is middle of the summer, I believe. Let me look and see where that Nashville tour date is. Charlotte and Raleigh.
Maybe some baseball as well. You can hit the
I mean, it's just devastating that they don't want to come down to the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, that's sad.
You're giving the people Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Guilford, New Hampshire the Goo Goo Dolls, and we don't get it down here in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Biloxi, Orange Beach.
Come on,
That's
man.
ridiculous.
That's disappointing.
They're touring with Dashboard Confessional.
Oh my god,
another sick emo band.
Wow,
it's just elite stuff.
What a
right
callback.
there.
All right, next one here. Coach Prime will get it done at home against Utah. Take it or leave it.
I'll take that. I think Colorado will be fine in that game. Utah was scrappy last week against BYU, but that's got to be a devastating loss. Clearly, when your athletic director runs to the microphone and starts yelling at the conference, it's been a tough loss for you. I think Colorado's playing really good. I think they win.
Yeah, Cam Rising doesn't exist. Just like, Chris Hilton does exist now, but Cam Rising, no, he's not a real person.
It's been a long go. Cam Rising had to be like high school class of like 2017.
I think 2016 maybe, yeah, 2017,
God,
something like that.
ago.
Yeah. BYU might be on upset alert against Kansas. Take it or leave it.
I will take that.
I'll take it too.
That's a good quarterback in Jalen Daniels. I don't think BYU is that great.
They've been winning close games. It's kind of like how Miami was. They were just flying by the seat of their pants on all those wins.
It's a good point, like by J.D. Piquel we were talking to earlier. Or was that Denton that was talking about, like, who are we kidding here? Like, looking at like teams like Ole Miss, Tennessee, it would just wipe the floor with BYU. And I think
that was Denton.
Yeah, that's very true. I believe that. Believe that a ton. It's a good story with BYU undefeated and having a Jewish quarterback. That whole thing is an interesting dynamic, but I don't think it's a great football team. And I've said this since we started this whole thing. Like, that conference does not merit an auto bid. If BYU at undefeated gets in as like the 11, like that's fine. But getting a bye and an auto bid is laughable.
But they had to do it though.
No,
for the
they
conference.
don't.
For the conference, they get the conferences aren't going to agree unless they get that.
No, this is not playtime for Johnny. This is not charity hour.
I'm not disagreeing with you,
it's
but I'm just telling you.
It's a multi-billion-dollar business with incredible stakes, and we're giving charity to frickin' Cincinnati, BYU, and Baylor. Get out of here.
Okay,
They're not any good.
Okay.
Sorry, Coach Aranda. Appreciate your efforts.
All right, a couple more here. Dan Graziano did an article today with his 2025 offseason thoughts, possible cuts or trade candidates. And one of them he had on there, Derek Carr. He says, obviously moving on to a new coach, new offensive coordinator most likely, and with the way the contract is structured, if the Saints cut him before the third day of the league year, then his $30 million won't be fully guaranteed. Obviously, it will be dead cap hit. But either way, it's more likely, he says, that Carr is looking for his third team by the middle of March, while the Saints are looking at the draft and free agency for his replacement. Take it or leave it.
I'll take the first part of that they're gonna look for his replacement, but they're not gonna cut him and go $30 million dead. I don't think.
Maybe not.
I mean, it just depends. If the bottom falls out and they draft what they think is the franchise quarterback third overall, then maybe, because you just don't care. But I just think they're going to have him on the team for a $30 million dead hit next year, and you can still have your quarterback of the future waiting in the wings. That's just the way that I see it.
I think I agree with you, too, there. But, I mean, Dan Graziano is a pretty respected guy, so I wouldn't
I don't think he made it up.
I don't think he made it up, or I don't think he would just say that, to see if it sticks. I think he's got something behind that. But anyways, last one here, Paul Skeens was named first-team All-MLB today. He's the best pitcher in baseball. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave that.
Yeah, he's not. I don't know if he's there yet.
But he's close.
He's really close.
I would go with Scooball there. And really, that's only 1 year of work, and Skeens is at almost a year of work. But I think Scooball was better down the stretch. He dominated in the postseason as well. Skeens is really good, and I think if you asked 10 Major League Baseball experts, media members, whatever, voters, in 2 years, who's the best pitcher in the planet going to be?
Skeens.
I think you would get 8 Skeens.
Yeah.
So it's very cool that he played for our team.
That was pretty funny on game day when he talked about doing the homework and saving.
Only homework you did?
Yeah.
I bet Skeens tried that first semester,
I'm sure he
man,
did,
it'd probably be pretty difficult in March once you're throwing 102 and nobody can get a hit off you. Probably just gonna not worry too much about that Psych 1002 class.
Probably not.
That's it for Take It or Leave It. We've got just about one order of business left to go here on this Friday. Reminder, our Football Fridays each and every Friday. Start at 7 o'clock in the morning with Off the Bench. Then Live at Lunch goes from 10 to 1 from Ruffino's, an hour early with an extended hour. Richard Dixon joins the guys there from Ruffino's. I'm 1 to 3. Matt is 3 to 6. And as we mentioned there earlier in this segment, Cade got the high school stuff all covered starting at 6 o'clock and going until midnight tonight. So every single Friday, there's only two left, but we've been live and local from 7 a.m. to about midnight here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, and we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We'll step aside. One more time out, then we'll come back and pick some football games on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carbo and his team, fantastic people over there at the Highland Insurance Group. And they know what they're doing. I know that a lot of you that are business owners don't love talking about insurance, but what I found in my time in insurance is a lot of folks who own businesses aren't really sure what their insurance policies say. They just know what the premium is. It comes out every month, and they think they're covered. Well, then you find out that there are exclusions that you haven't met, or there are deductibles that you weren't aware of, or that there are limits on certain causes of loss that you didn't know because you didn't take the time to look at it and you were just looking at the dollar signs. If you're handling your insurance and you're looking for a magic bullet that is going to save you 20%, this is probably not the call to make to the Highland Insurance Group. If you want to make sure that your business is running smoothly and that something that could throw your books way out of whack doesn't, the Highland Insurance Group is the call that you need to make. Employment practice liability, crime, cyber, directors and officers, umbrella insurance, all those probably you're familiar with, but do you know what they do? Call Jonathan Carbo and his team and make sure that you are protected. They'll get you in the right market. They have dozens of markets at their disposal, and make sure you're paying the right premium. It's the Highland Insurance Group. You can check them out online at highlandig.com. They're right here in Baton Rouge. Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Let's talk turkey. Bayou Ford can get you in a new 2024 Ford F-150 with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off America's favorite F-150 truck. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
So we're closing up shop here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Huge shout out to the folks at Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Always happy to help you out with catering. If you got a game watching party this weekend, if you're feeding a high school football team, if you've got an office Christmas lunch that's coming up and want to get some food in bulk, they can always help you at Corks. They got big trays of the crispy fried catfish, big old trays of that jumbo Gulf shrimp, the French fries as well. Get your honey butter rolls. You can do pork chops, po' boys, salads, coleslaw. It's all right there at Corks. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. Had somebody in the Bayou Ford chat saying, hey, did Hunt ever treat the crew to Corks? I did a couple of weeks ago. They got the big haul, and it was enough for like 6 of us to eat full lunches on. So fantastic stuff over there from the folks at Corks. So we appreciate them bringing you our Friday shows each and every week. All right, it's been a fun show today. Started things off talking about LSU's basketball win over Kansas State last night. Really impressive stuff from Matt McMahon's team, and I went into it at the top of the show. Preston Guy, good enough to be with us at TigerBait.com. He was talking some LSU football with us. I got you ready for the NFL slate. It's got some really good games at the top of the AFC. Saints and Browns talk at 1:45. You can find all our Saints content at Hunt on Saints. SEC picks against the spread. We'll see how those go on Monday. Big one in Athens, Georgia. Quarterback conversation between LSU and Florida at 2:15, and then some take it or leave it as well. You can always get our stuff on demand wherever you find your sound. You can certainly find us on YouTube as well. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. If you're looking for LSU football content, Hunt on LSU. You're looking for Saints content, Hunt on Saints. And want to remind you, of course, about LouisianaSports.net as well. Your Saints practice report already up at LouisianaSports.net right now. I'll have a story and a column on LSU-Florida tomorrow evening. Chris Mahler's got your SEC stuff covered. There's a great Fridays piece that he writes every week called Winning and Boozing, talking about what drinks you should drink while you watch SEC football. So if you're looking for a Friday laugh, go check that out. Everything is free at LouisianaSports.net. Only thing we have left to do is pick some football games. We'll start with the Saints and the Browns.
The New Orleans Saints, the Cleveland Browns. It's time for Hunt's final pick.
A nice Sunday for the black and gold, the team and the fan base last week in the Dome. I thought that was important for everybody involved. I know there are a lot of Saints fans that want a really high draft pick, and you want the team to lose, and you're happy that they've moved on from the head coach, and hopefully are going to do some things very differently moving forward. But still, losing 7 in a row is not a lot of fun, and to have 3 hours of some enjoyment and to beat your arch rival right there at the end is a nice change of pace and a good feel-good on a Sunday. Can they keep it going under Darren Rizzi? That's really the question. They're getting a little bit healthier on the offense. They welcome Eric McCoy back in this game. Derek Carr's back. You're still banged up at wide receiver, no question about that. But you've got some pieces back. You've got to run the football on Cleveland. Got to run it, got to run it, got to run it. If they don't run the ball well, they're going to get beat on Sunday because Myles Garrett is going to be a nightmare, and that Derek Carr has no way to combat that. I think they will run it a little bit in this game. I think they will move the ball through the air. And I just don't have confidence that Jameis Winston's going to carve up the Saints. Now, they're going to run it with Nick Chubb for sure, but I just I don't think that you're going to see Cleveland go nuts on the Saints the way that some teams have done, especially early in the season. So my final score is a close one, but the Saints win at home. I'll take the black and gold 24-23 on Sunday. The Saints win their second in a row against the Browns. One more, LSU and Florida on Saturday in the Swamp.
The LSU Tigers, the Florida Gators. It's time for Hunt's final pick.
As I've told you, I've been in the Swamp a number of times. I went in 6, 8, 10, 12, and 20. That's 5 trips to the Swamp. I've seen it at its best. I've seen it at its COVID and when it wasn't all that great. And I don't expect a raucous environment inside the Swamp on Saturday. It's better. It'll be better than it would have been because they've announced DJ Lagway is going to start. If it would have been Aiden Warren, I don't think anybody would have shown up for that game because Florida doesn't have a chance with that guy playing quarterback. With Lagway, they do, and he is the future of that football program as it sits right now. The question is, how healthy is he? And I just can't imagine he's ready to go run the ball 16, 17 times for 65 or 70 yards. I think Florida will give that look to LSU with the read option and that kind of ball handling, and they'll look to run the ball, but I think it'll be the running backs doing that. And they ran it pretty well on Georgia. They ran it pretty well on Texas. They ran it great on Kentucky. Can they run it great on LSU? If they do, it could be a long day, but I think LSU matches up well enough on the outside with Zy Alexander and Ashton Stamps, no Eugene Wilson out there, to use some numbers to stack the box, and I don't think they're going to have to respect Lagway as much running the ball. I think LSU's defense plays well. Florida's defense has been bad. And LSU's offense at a time was really good. They just haven't been for 6 quarters. I'm calling for a reemergence of Garrett Nussmeier here and a chance to get him some confidence. They got to keep him upright. If they do that, I think he'll go to work on a Florida secondary that is missing 4 key contributors, including 2 starters at cornerback. And they don't have a great pass rusher to hurt LSU like Nick Scorton or like some of the guys that Alabama has last week. I think LSU is going to win this game, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think LSU wins this game comfortably because I don't think Florida is very good at all, even with DJ Lagway playing quarterback. My final score for tomorrow inside the Swamp is a convincing one. I think it starts early and goes off, and I like LSU 30-13 in this game. I know you're looking at me going, you're nuts. Did you watch LSU play defense last week and again in College Station? Well, I watched the first half in College Station, and I think it could look like that. Give me the Tigers. Give me the Tigers big, and let's see if we can change the juju and the momentum in this town. Those are my picks for LSU and the Saints this weekend. Either way, we'll be talking about it on Monday. I'm going to go watch some baseball this afternoon at the box. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review. We'll have the Riot Radio Hours. And Kay Wassan coming up with all your high school football coverage later this evening. Y'all have a great and safe weekend. Should be great weather in Baton Rouge. We're back Monday, same time and same place for another edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com is that website. Just about an hour ago, my father-in-law picked up the kiddo, went home, the alarm was on. He texted me, hey, disarm the burglar alarm. I did it. Then I was able to pull up the camera in the backyard and saw him pitching the ball to the youngster there. So I could let him in the house remotely, and I could make sure everything was okay in the backyard right here at the desk because I've got my security system and burglar alarm from the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions. It was so painless for us. Mitchell came out one day. We told him what we wanted. He said, okay. He supplied all the equipment. They installed it. We're not paying any cloud storage fees. I can look at the camera 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, pause, rewind, record. I can also arm and disarm the burglar alarm remotely thanks to the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions. Give Mitchell a call at 225-439-7920 or check him out at avssla.com. That's my friends at Audio Video Security Solutions. They're online at avssla.com.